Hello everyone, today we are going to solve a test for syllogisms which is available on the EduRev platform. But a disclaimer before we started, if you are going to solve this test on your own before, then first solve the test and then come to this video to check the solutions. Okay, now that I have said that, let's start with the video. So here it says that in each of the following questions, two statements are given. And these statements are followed by two conclusions numbered 1 and 2. So you can see there are two conclusions numbered 1 and 2. Now you have to take the given two statements to be true even if they seem to be at variance from commonly known facts. This means that the statements can state anything like all the parrots are apples. But we have to assume them as facts for the particular question. Now read the conclusion and then decide which of the given conclusions logically follows from the two given statements disregarding commonly known facts. Okay, great. Now let's look at question number 1. So first we are going to solve for question number 1. So it states some actors are singers. Okay, so let's make a Venn diagram for it. So some of the actors are singers. Let's assume that this is actor and these are singers. So some of the actors are singers. And then it states that all these singers are dancers. So it says that all of these singers are actually dancers. So I have A for actors, S for singers and D for dancers. Now what does the conclusion state? So our conclusion 1 states that some actors are dancers. Okay, so as we can clearly see that some of the actors are here, right here, they are dancers because all of them are singers and all the singers are dancers. So here some actors are singers and all the singers are dancers. Therefore, all actors will also, therefore some actors for sure will be dancers. So conclusion 1 follows. So this is true. Let's look at the second statement. No singer is an actor. So you can clearly see from this particular area that some of the singers are actually actors. Therefore, statement 2 is basically false. Therefore, the correct answer here will be option A, only conclusion 1 follows. As you can see, the answer from here. That is our correct answer. Great. Now let's move on to the next question. Now this states that all the harmoniums are instruments. So question number 2 states that all the harmoniums are instruments. So assuming that this is our harmonium. Now it's stating that all of these harmoniums are basically instruments. So there is I for instruments. And then we have that all the instruments are flutes. So all these instruments are actually flutes. So the conclusion 1 states here, all the flutes are instruments. All the flutes are instruments. So as we can see that there will always be some of the flutes which might not be instruments. So we cannot be 100% sure of that. So statement 1 here will be false. For statement number 2 we have, for the conclusion number 2 we have all the harmoniums are flutes. So you can see that here is our harmonium and all of them are instruments and all of the instruments are flutes. Therefore, all the harmoniums will also be flutes. Therefore, statement 2 or the conclusion 2 is basically true. Great. So this means that here only conclusion 2 follows. Therefore, the answer will be option B, only conclusion 2 follows. As you can see from the diagram here that all the harmoniums are instruments and all the instruments are flutes. Great. Now let's move on to the next question. Here it states, for question number 3, it states, some mangoes are yellow. Okay, so here are some of the mangoes. This is for mango. So some mangoes are yellow. So let's say that this is yellow. And then it says that some tixo are mangoes. So our statement 2 says that some tixo are mangoes. So assuming that this is tixo. So here we are saying that some mangoes are yellow and some tixo are mangoes. So as you can see that both of them are, talking about some of them, and we have to make mod at every time of time, which is the minimum overlapping diagram. which we studied in our videos. So this is the mod for this question. Now the conclusion states, for a conclusion number 1, it states some mangoes are green. Some mangoes are green. Now we do not know anything about green here, okay? So we cannot say that some mangoes are green. So here that conclusion is false. For conclusion number 2, we have Tixo is a yellow. Okay, so Tixo is a yellow. Now we cannot claim Tixo is a yellow, especially from our minimum overlapping diagram, the mod that we have made. And we know because both of these are positive conclusions, so we are only going to look at the minimum overlapping diagram. Therefore, we also cannot state that Tixo is a yellow. Okay, so even here, the second state conclusion is also false. So here the correct answer will be option D, neither 1 nor 2 follows. So as you can see the diagram that we would make here and how we can see clearly that both of these conclusions won't follow. Let's look at the next question. The next question states some ants are parrots. Okay, so we have the question. So it states that some ants are parrots. Okay, assuming that this is our ants, and then some ants are actually parrots. So let's do green for parrots. So this is our parrot. Now all the parrots are apples. Let's do red for apples. So as you can see, that all the parrots are apples. Now what do we understand by this? That we have some ants are parrots and all the parrots are apples. So conclusion 1 here states, all the apples are parrots. So it's saying that all the apples are parrots. Now we again can see that there must be a lot of apples which are not parrots. So here conclusion 1 is false. While some ants are apples. So as A stands for ants here. So some ants, because some ants are parrots and all the parrots are apples, that is why some ants will also be apples. Therefore our conclusion 2 is true. Therefore our answer will be B, only conclusion 2 follows. As you can see the Venn diagram that we would make here, and it's correct that only conclusion 2 would follow. Now let's look at the next question. So here in question number 5, it states some papers are pens. So it's stating that some papers are pen. So assuming that this is for papers, so we are going to say PA for papers. And we are saying that some papers are basically pen. So let's do blue for pen. So P stands for pen. And all the pencils are pen. Now the question is, all the pencils are pen. Let's assume that this is our pencil. So this green is our pencil. Now you must be thinking that why I did not draw this diagram on the other side of the pen, Venn diagram. And the answer is that because we are always looking for the minimum overlapping diagram mod. And if I would have drawn it on the other side with the papers combined, then we wouldn't have gotten our minimum overlapping diagram. And as you can see that both of our conclusions are actually positive conclusions. So we have to look at mod for our answer. Great. So now our first conclusion states, that some pens are pencil. Some pens are pencils. So that's true because there must be some pens for our pencil because all the pencils are basically pen. Therefore conclusion 1 is true. If we talk about conclusion number 2, it states that some pens are papers. Once again that also follows because you can clearly see from the diagram here that some pens are also paper. Therefore both of them are true. So here the correct answer would be option number E, both A1 and 2 follows. So as you can see that both 1 and 2 follows. Great. Now let's look at question number 6. For question number 6, it states all the actors are girls. So it states that all of the actors are girls. So here is our actors and all of these actors, as we now know, are girls. Now it states that all the girls are beautiful. So it states that all of the girls are beautiful. Okay, great. Now let's look at the conclusions. So for conclusion 1, it states that all the actors are beautiful. So because all the actors are girls and all the girls are beautiful, so with the transition property, conclusion 1 is true. For conclusion number 2, it states that some girls are actors. So as you can see that we have the, some of the girls who are actually actors. This is our ratio. This is our part. Therefore, the second statement is also true. So here also our answer will be both 1 and 2 follow, which is option E. As you can see from the Venn diagram that both of these conclusions actually follow. Now let's look at question number 7. So in question number 7, our statement is all the windows are doors. Okay, so assuming that this is all the windows, so W is for windows and all of these windows are actually doors. So all of these windows are actually doors. And the next it reads that no door is a wall. Okay, so if no door is a wall, then we will just draw it like that. So none of the door is a wall. So let's write wall completely for the wall diagram because we have already W for windows. Okay, great. So now what are conclusions? So our conclusion 1 here is some windows are walls. Some windows are walls. As we can clearly see from our diagram that some windows are not walls. So because some windows are not walls, therefore first statement is not true. So here the first conclusion is not true. The second is no wall is a door. Now let's look at conclusion number 2. So here it states that no wall is a door. Okay. So if no wall is a door, that is correct because you can see even from our diagram that none of the wall is a door. So here our second one is also, the second one is true. And okay, sorry, let me correct myself. The first conclusion is actually not true. I wrote true by mistake. So it's actually false here because as we can see that some windows are walls, none of the windows are actually walls. Therefore the first conclusion is wrong while second one is true. So here our correct answer will be option B, only conclusion 2 follows. As you can clearly see from the Venn diagram also in the solution at EduRev that there is windows, circle is in the middle, then there is doors outside of it because all of the windows are doors, and then wall is placed outside at a different parameter. Why? Because none of the door is actually a wall from our statement number 2. Great. Now let's look at the next question. Now question number 8. Now question number 8 suggests that all the cups are books. Okay, so let's draw all the cups are books. So let's draw all the cups are books. And all books are shirts. Okay, so now all of the books are shirts. Okay, now what are our conclusions? Our conclusion number 1 is some cups are not shirts. Some cups are not shirts. But now we know already that all of the cups are actually books and all of the books are shirts. So all of the cups are also shirts. So here conclusion 1 is false. For conclusion number 2 we have some shirts are cups. So some of the shirts are cups. And for some, as we already learned in our video, the criteria is that it needs to be only one. So even if there is one shirt which is a cup, then some shirts or cups will actually follow. Therefore, our conclusion number 2 is actually true because we can see that there will be some shirts which are actually cups. Therefore, here the answer will be option B, only conclusion 2 follows. Great. Now let's look at question number 9. So here we have question number 9. It states that some cows are crows. So it states that some of the cows, so here are that, let's assume that this is our cows. Some of these cows are actually crows. And some crows are elephants. Okay, so some of the crows are elephants. Okay. Now our conclusion number 1 reads, some cows are elephants. Some cows are elephants. And because as we can see that both of these conclusions are positive conclusions because they are some and all, therefore we have to look at again the minimum overlapping diagram which we have made. So from here we can see that some cows are elephants is not true. Okay, so here that conclusion number 1 is false. And the second reads that all crows are elephants. Again we can see that not all crows are elephants. Some crows are elephants for sure, but not all of them are elephants. Therefore, conclusion 2 is also false. So here our answer will be option D, neither 1 nor 2 follows. Okay, great. Now let's look at question number 10, the last question for the day. So here it states, all the pencils are pens. Okay, so it reads, all the pencils are pen. So let's draw it. So we have all the pencils here, and all of these are actually pens. Let's change the color for pens. So here it is. So all the pencils are actually pens, and all the pens are ink. So all of these pens are ink. Okay, now the conclusion reads, so our conclusion reads, first, all the pencils are inks. Okay, so all the pencils are ink. That makes sense because all the pencils are pen and all the pen are ink. So therefore by the transition property, all the pencils will also be ink. So here the conclusion 1 is true. For conclusion number 2, it states that some inks are pencil. So it states some of the inks are pencils. So as we can see again that for some the criteria is that at least one of it must be, a part of it. So here at least one of the ink is pencil. Therefore conclusion 2 will be true as well. Therefore here the answer is option E, both 1 and 2 follows. Great. So as you can see that we have done all the questions correctly, and as you can see that the questions weren't very hard either. If we know the basic trick of syllogisms and we have seen all the other videos at EduRev of how to solve questions on syllogisms, I'm sure you would have been able to solve this test and get full marks out of it. With this, I hope that you have all your syllogism queries have been solved. Please attempt more tests on the EduRev to further test yourself and improve your skills. Till then, have a happy learning with EduRev.